Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Illinois Girls Wrestling Podcast, the show that strives to create a supportive community for Illinois girls wrestling through storytelling and expert insights so that athletes, coaches, and families feel connected and empowered. Can this podcast be helpful for boys? Absolutely. We are sharing a lot of great information about wrestling that boys can learn from. However, we also want to give girls and their families a space they can call their own. In today's episode, we will answer some questions I know I had in my family wrestling journey. And later, you will meet a wrestler who made it from zero to state finals in just 2 years of high school. And now she's competing on a college level. Let's get to the questions. What equipment does my daughter need to start wrestling? It is actually pretty straightforward. For the competitions, your daughter will need a singlet, a headgear, and wrestling shoes. For the practices, it's usually headgear, wrestling shoes, and active clothing that does not restrict your movements. A knee pad is a personal preference. Some people use it, some people don't. And you'll just have to figure out as you start going to practices. Is wrestling safe for girls? Absolutely. Wrestling is one of the safest combat sports because it prioritizes technique and controlled movements. Coaches are trained to teach safety first, and injuries are relatively rare comparing to other sports. With the proper training, your daughter can safely enjoy many benefits of this sport. How can I find a wrestling program or club? Good question. Start by going to www.ikwf.org/clubs, or potentially you can also go to www.themat.com and make a short list of the clubs in your area. Not every club has a great website or beautiful social media feed. You might have to go old school and call or show up to a practice and observe. You are looking for a club that already has a group of girls that works well together. You can show up to a girls' wrestling competition and observe different groups and teams and clubs there. You will also need to decide for yourself that you are able to commit to the club financially and logistically. The clubs are different. There are feeder clubs that are usually a lot cheaper than the private clubs, but the feeder clubs, many of them do not run year-round. They're only seasonal. If you want your daughter to get better in the off-season, you are looking at the private clubs. Now that you found the program, you probably are wondering what the experience will be like. For example, what does a typical practice look like? Practices usually start with the warm-up, such as jogging, stretching, to get everyone ready. Then wrestlers work on drills and learn techniques before finishing with live wrestling. You might not have live wrestling every practice, or you might have it. It really depends on the club. Practices are designed to build skills over time while improving fitness and confidence and endurance. But as I said before, different clubs will have different practice flows. Will my daughter wrestle against boys? It depends on the program and your location. Many areas now offer all-girls divisions, but in some cases, girls may wrestle boys if the number is limited. Having a boy as your wrestling partner can actually build your girls' skill and confidence level. We do, however, see sometimes when a boy, especially a newcomer to a club, might be more hesitant about wrestling a girl in the club than the other way around. How can we prepare for our first tournament? Good question, because preparation is a key. Ensure your daughter gets plenty of rest the night before, eats balanced meals, and stays hydrated. Tournaments usually involve weigh-ins, bracketed matches, and specific time limits. So get an understanding yourself with this process in advance. Don't forget to pack essentials like water, snacks, and extra gear. Wrestling in the off-season might require driving. During the season, high school wrestlers are supported by the schools. However, club wrestlers rely on parents to get them to the competitions. And if you have several kids wrestling in different levels, you might have to really, really plan ahead. Finally, let's talk about your role as a parent or supporter. Common question: how can I best support my daughter emotionally and physically? My answer as a parent: be her best cheerleader. Celebrate her efforts and not her wins. Make sure she's eating well, stays hydrated, and getting enough rest. Wrestling is physically and mentally demanding, so your encouragement can make a huge difference. What should I do if my daughter loses motivation or struggles? Keep the lines of communication open. Ask her how she feels and listen without judgment. Remind her of her achievements and why she started wrestling in the first place. Sometimes connecting with teammates or taking a short break can get the passion going again. And now it is a time to introduce you to an inspiring athlete who most likely had to ask many of these same questions herself on both high school and college level. Welcome to the studio, Viola Pianetto. Viola is 2025 Mid-Suburban League East Division Girls Co-Wrestler of the Year. She is also 2025 IHSA State Finalist. She is currently a freshman at Elmhurst University. She is ICCWF Wrestler of the Week and currently ranked 5th in her region. Welcome to the studio, Viola. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really good. How about you?
I am great. Let's start with just learning a little bit about you.
Yeah, so I go to Elmhurst University. The club that I attend off season is Izzy Style, and I've been wrestling since my junior year. I'm 19 years old right now, and yeah, wrestling has been such a big part of my life that I couldn't leave it. In college, I had to move forward with it.
So you started wrestling again in your junior year?
Yeah.
That seems pretty late. So let's go back there and let's see how did wrestling become your sport? Because I take it that was not the only sport you did in high school.
Yeah, so in the beginning of high school, I have a little bit of like athleticism behind the sports that I've done. I've done track a little bit. I've been running cross country since I was in elementary school. I've been doing a lot of active, sports. I figure skated, I did ballet. So, there's a lot that I've done in my past, but I had a couple of friends in my friend group who were part of the wrestling team at my high school, and it kind of inclined me it kind of interested me to learn more about the sport. And eventually, they kind of dragged me to a practice, and I had so much fun.
That's incredible. And it's incredible know how far you have been able to accomplish in just 2 years of high school. What do you feel was the biggest jump from your junior year to your senior year? Was it
So my junior year,
Mhm.
I qualified for state, and I lost in the blood rounds. It was a very tough day, I would say. It definitely, because right off the bat, I was extremely competitive, and it was something that kind of clicked in my brain, that this love that I've fallen for. I was completely infatuated by the sport, and something about me, you know, it bothered me a lot. And so I took maybe a week or two off, but I was immediately back on the mat. And my goal was to win state next year, no matter what, no matter who was in my weight class. I wasn't going to cut any weight. I was going to go up a weight class and I was going to wrestle my best. So my biggest jump from my junior year to my senior year would probably be just locking in. I had my junior year out of the way. I was learning how to wrestle, and now that I know the fundamentals of wrestling, I just decided to apply everything that I knew to this one season, this like final season.
Were you still doing other sports or were you done with everything else?
I was completely locked in with wrestling. All my focus was on this sport.
That's fantastic. It shows you that it does not necessarily mean that you missed out on the entire sport if you did not start at the age of 5. That's crazy.
Yeah. Thank you.
What high school match or moment do you still think about, regardless if it was a win or loss? And what did you maybe learn from it?
So my high school match that I remember would probably be, I don't want to say her name, but it was against this one girl, and we would go back and forth, and we would wrestle each other a lot. We would wrestle each other in the off season. We'd wrestle each other in season. We saw each other a lot more at more tournaments and meets my senior year, and it kind of showed that I was kind of climbing the ladder, and it kind of gauges that who you're going with and who you're going up against. It shows your progress almost, like you're like, okay, well, I lost against this person last time, but now I won by a point. And then the next match, it's a bigger margin. And then after that, it's even bigger. So it just kind of motivated me to keep on going.
So you sort of kind of you're using that person as a benchmark and you're just measuring your progress
Right.
based on that person.
Right.
I think that's a fantastic way of like measuring your progress, because I feel like it is very easy to get discouraged if you just go in
Yeah.
against the person and keep losing against the person.
Right. Right.
Okay, how do you handle a tough day in school? Regardless if it was injuries or losses or pressure of, and balancing schoolwork and athleticism.
I have definitely had a lot of tough days in school. I've had a ton of injuries. I've had my eyebrow split where I couldn't practice. I've had a lot of things that has happened, sprained ankle, all of it. And more so like how I helped myself in high school would be to find yourself a really good circle of people, to find supporters and to find people that truly want to look after you and want to think the best of you, and kind of just use those people as a foundation of your life. You need people to uplift you and to not let negative thoughts in your head, because that's when you start to go downhill from there. I just think that having people in your life that are motivating you to come to practice and who are there to put a smile on your face are the ones that you need to keep close.
So where did you find your people?
Through wrestling. I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better high school team. I practiced with the guys, so there's like freshmen and like newer girls would practice in the cafeteria, and then I practice up in the varsity room. And just the amount of support that I've gotten, the guys' team alone, the guys' head coach, I couldn't be more grateful. Coach Brown, he was a huge person in my wrestling career, and Coach Vassar was my coach in particular, but they both supported me. And when I hear other stories about other high school coaches, it shocks me because I didn't come from that environment. And I think that's kind of like a testament. Like, hey, if you have good coaches that want to see you get better, then you're going to get better. But these girls that are getting held back by coaches that are being told certain things and that don't have the confidence to wrestle with other people and get new partners, then they're going to stay stagnant. It's just crazy to me how my coach didn't care about any of that. He just let me wrestle with whoever I want.
And I am seeing we had a lot of great wrestlers last year that graduated alongside you. And I feel like there is a huge difference where in some school, you almost see like they had like this one person and now there is nobody. or like there is nobody
Yeah.
competing at a higher level, versus in some other schools, it's you see that the other girls, it's more of a community, and the other girls are trying to follow. Maybe they're not quite there yet, but they are definitely still growing as a team in their school. Because
Right.
I still see a lot of schools that, bring one or two girls to the tournaments, or maybe none, where last year
Yeah.
I did see some from those schools.
Right.
What did your training week look like in high school, in season versus off season?
So in season, I took a lifting class at my school, so I would just lift during certain days of my school, which kind of really worked out with my wrestling schedule. But I would do double practices sometimes in season. I would make sure to get my reps in at school. And off season, I did a lot of rigorous training. I mean, I've done so much training with Izzy. I give him a ton of credit. I started off at Suplex. They were great, awesome coaches. I absolutely adored them. And then I decided to move to Brunson, and Brunson was a good change. He has a lot of really great wrestlers, and he has a really good foundation. And I just felt like I needed that extra push. So I went down to Izzy, and Izzy style definitely gave me that push. I mean, it made me realize that I needed to start working so much harder. And that summer, I improved so much mentally, physically. Izzy has definitely helped me get stronger and improve my technique so much more. I didn't realize that so much technique could be, involved in wrestling, and just so much training. Like my life revolved around wrestling. My life revolved around recovery, wrestling, diet. Yeah, just in season, off season, like 100%. Mm.
And you mentioned double practices. So are we talking about practice at the high school and then club practice on the same day?
I would just be like 2 practices at high school, and then double practices during the summer would be at my club.
Okay. So you would spend 3 hours on a mat? About how
Yeah,
many days a
anywhere.
week?
Yeah, so in season, I would spend anywhere around 3 hours on the mat every single day, and then postseason, I would spend maybe anywhere from 2 to 5 hours on the mat.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a ton of training. It would be some days would be super hard, some days would be not that hard. I did a lot of camps. I did the Wrestling is Life camp, which I totally recommend to anybody who's interested in signing up for a camp. They had a lot of amazing alumni. They had Kennedy Blades there. It was great. And the 5 hours wouldn't be all in one session. It would be kind of split up throughout the day.
I see. When did college wrestling become a real possibility for you?
I think talking to Coach Izzy about it has really pushed me to consider wrestling in college. My standards have always been raised since I joined the sport. If I could do this, then I could do that. And I never capped the possibilities. The possibilities are endless. And I never once have doubted myself where I'm just like, well, that sounds really hard. I don't think it's possible. But like I don't really care if it's not possible. Like I'm gonna make sure that it happens. And that's kind of like what my mindset has always been. Like, just stop caring about what other people think. Stop caring about all of this, all of that, everybody talking. Like, none of that matters. Just keep on going and get as far as you can. And I might not win at every single tournament or match, but I am definitely learning, walking on as a true freshman, kind of figuring my way around college wrestling. Every match is like a state match, and it's definitely been like a learning process. But I definitely just myself don't let myself like cap the possibilities. Like, I just let myself dream about whatever I need to do.
I have met many girls, wrestling girls, that did fantastic in the high school, but at the end of the high school, they were not really looking for the college opportunities. They said, "Okay, this was fun. I'm gonna be done now." So, I'm not sure how do you decide that, but how about you share your recruiting story? How did this happen? How did the process happen for you? Because I think there is
So
probably a lot of girls that just don't even know where to start.
yeah, so I think a lot of girls that have a good foundation of wrestling that don't want to wrestle anymore is, due to a little burnout, and it's normal. It's okay. I started off by talking to my coach and seeing where my possibilities could be. I first talked to North Dakota, which I talked to them on my own, but I was originally going to go to a Division II school up in North Dakota. And I kind of emailed, talked over the phone, all sorts of things. They flew me out and I kind of saw their campus. I saw everything around town. It was great. It was amazing. And I truly thankful for those coaches. So then my mistake was committing to the first college that gave me an offer. And I should have really explored my options. And by no means was that college like a bad college. They were amazing. And then I was talking to my coach, and he kind of introduced me to just keeping an open mind. And so I decided to be more open minded and realized like maybe I should stay close to home and figure out the different possibilities. So I saw a college that was very close, like 30 minutes from my house called Elmhurst University. And that college women's head coach ended up coaching me at Fargo.
Hmm.
And that's how I was able to get really close to this coach. And he was amazing. He was kind. He was smart. He helped me wrestle. He helped me get the weight off at the camp. Everything that I needed, all the support was there. And I decided that, yeah, I think I need to commit to this school now. And it's just kind of like a trial and error type of thing. Girls that are or guys that are interested in wrestling in college, find the realistic schools in your perimeter that you want to go to. Reach out, don't be afraid. Do really good in your season. Um, and yeah, just like trial and error, see which ones you like, which ones you don't.
So you initially committed to college in North Dakota, and then you said, "Oh,
Yes.
that's not what I want to do." So what does the process look like with how do you decommit?
It was really easy. Talked to their financial student services, and they just told me to unregister for the school. And then I talked to the coaches. They were very kind. They understood, and I decommitted from there. And then I kind of just reapplied to Elmhurst. I signed with Elmhurst. So it's not as hard as people think. They may think that you have to sign a lot of paperwork and do a lot of extra steps, but it's as simple as decommitting, making the right decision, and recommitting and reapplying to the school that you actually want to go to.
That's the impression that I'm and like, oh, once you
Yeah,
commit, oh my God, decommitting would be so difficult. Okay, that's really good to
yeah.
know.
I, I feel like the transfer portal is a lot different than decommitting because my college timer hasn't started. So I wasn't actually transferring. I was just decommitting and recommitting to a different college.
Mhm. Okay. What surprised you the most about college wrestling? I remember we had a quick conversation over summer and we were talking about my daughter and you said, "Oh my God, you're so lucky. You get to have another year wrestling at high school."
Yeah.
Well, now you
Yeah.
are half a year into college, your college career. So what is
Right.
different?
Every match feels like a state match. That's truly the biggest difference is I was surprised at how strong these girls were. In high school, I feel like a lot of girls are just stepping on the mat for the first time and they're just kind of figuring out the sport. But in college, like a lot of girls already know the fundamentals. And you're going up against different like state placers from different states. I think I forget sometimes that I'm like, wow, like I've never seen this girl before because she's from Ohio and she's a state placer or anything like that, and it gives you different feels and different kind of views and different aspects of, like, what you need to work on better. Because in high school, it's very common to see the person like, the same people over and over, but in college, you see new people all the time. You get to wrestle and get different feels, and it's just a lot more challenging, but it's a lot more fun.
What do you feel is the biggest difference between college wrestling and high school wrestling? What do you find harder? Is it practice? Is it mental pressure, recovery, school?
I would I would definitely say recovery. We compete a lot more often. We compete, like, sometimes we compete 2 times a week, you know, and that means you have to make weight twice as much or there's no weight allowance, so you have to make sure you're very disciplined with your weight. You really have to keep your weight down, and it's just a lot of like, attention to fine detail, kinda like the classes, everything about college is like nobody's holding your hand. So you have to be on top of your homework and everything at the end of the day. I mean, I got back from this Quincy tournament, this Quincy triad actually, and we got back at 1 a.m. You know, that I thought I was going to be able to do my homework, this and that. Like, no, you have to be on top of your stuff. You have to be on top of everything when it comes to school, wrestling, nutrition, recovery. Like, it's just the hardest part about it is like, it's all of it essentially. And as long as you're organized and you stay on top of everything, then you won't have to, run that extra mile to get that weight off or do your homework really late at night and miss out on sleep or anything like that.
What do you feel you would have done differently in high school to prepare yourself for college? Unless you feel that
Um,
you got everything right.
no, I think there's always room for improvement. I would probably say more strength training. I think that a lot of people lose a lot of muscle when they cut weight down. I mean, I've went from my junior year up until now, my weight classes were 30, 35, and 38. So I've been kind of staying stagnant at in like the mid to high 30s. And I just think that over time, you just really need to take strength training more seriously. I just got my wisdom teeth out, so I wasn't able to do much, but I really want to get back into strength training soon.
And for high school girl who wants to wrestle in college, what would be your maybe top three tips?
I would say be open minded, really know what the different possibilities are. Like get your list and make it realistic, If you're a first year wrestler and you want to develop better, then go to a college that's going to help you develop better and to make you a better wrestler. If you're a national placer, then, you have better opportunities at a bigger college. And there's nothing wrong with bigger colleges or smaller colleges. It's your own personal goals. And just really try to work hard on reaching out to coaches and keeping, social medias updated with your progress. I have a separate account for my wrestling and I post a lot of wrestling on there. And it did gain some attention from a lot of coaches. So that's another thing too.
I feel like when we hear about, college, there is a big push for you should try to get into D1 or D2 school because you can get a full ride. You went from D2 school to D3 school.
I actually saved more money going to Elmhurst than I did going to the school in North Dakota because I I got a lot of academic scholarships from Elmhurst, and the athletic scholarship that I got from my Division II school wasn't as much as the academic scholarships. Like, going down a division doesn't really matter in women's wrestling because you're gonna end up wrestling everybody anyways.
We have to wrap up this interview. We'll do a 5-question lightning round. So just really quick without thinking too much.
Yes.
It's your match day. What is your walkout song as you walk out on the mat?
Oh my gosh. All the lights.
Practice vibes. What pumps you up? Is it hard drilling, going live, or conditioning?
I prefer hard drilling and live.
Favorite wrestling shoe, brand, model?
I prefer Nike and Flicks. I miss the OGs. I miss the pink and orange, but those are old. But yeah, no, I prefer the white Nike and Flicks.
Best college dining hall meal or go-to post-practice food?
I would probably say a salad is always going to keep you on weight. Salad is never going to make you gain anything.
What's more difficult in college? College conditioning or college exams?
Ooh, I'd probably say college conditioning. The professors really help you out with all the schoolwork.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. This was a fantastic
Yes, thank you
interview,
so much.
and I feel like
Yes, thank you.
I feel like we do not speak enough to college wrestlers to really understand what it feels like to be on the other side of, post high school.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
If you're looking for more resources, check out our show notes for links to programs and supportive communities. And don't forget, we love hearing from you. Send us questions for future episodes. We are on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. Thank you for joining us on Illinois Girls Wrestling Podcast. Wrestling is more than a sport. It is a community, and we're thrilled to have you here. Don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and share this episode with one family who is on the fence. Until next time, keep cheering, keep supporting, and keep wrestling.